Hello and welcome to this week's adventure of... Be quiet, I'm doing the introduction. Hello and welcome to this week's adventure of the Windswift. It's just me here on the ship and apparently voices that like to interrupt. Anyway, we are our usual crew, and I think the smiles and laughter is because that's exactly not what the episode is going to be about. If the previous ones have been anything to go on. So Dice of Destiny will tell us who's going to give us a recap, just to remind us of what happened last week, and that number is 3, which is Jenny.
Of course it is. God, when did we start? The time starting to like...
I think we started on our boat and kind of talking with each other. I think that's where we started.
Yeah, no, we were heading back into the prison to clear it out, I believe.
Just go.
Well,
I think.
You summarize what happened, really. Where are you now?
Yeah, now. Now we're back on the ship. We've sort of cleared out the prison. We've sort of dealt with the horrifying prisoners that were running loose. We found Hurricane again, who was still alive, and brought him to some relative safety. Tracked down and took care of the last gnome dragon worshipper thing, and then we went back to the ship to have words, very powerful, strong words, with the Drachenstokes about what the crap is going on here, because we were at the point where we just needed to know. So we go into this map room and we summon them in and we sort of tell them, and Blaxton puts this sort of half-decayed gnome / dragonling head on the desk, which gets them talking quite quickly about how, yes, there are, in the engines, there are portals to the prison realm where the dragons are all locked up. It's in every single engine. And technically the Order has been using the dragon powers basically since the beginning, because it was the only thing that was powerful enough to drive these ships and to drive all of these magical things that the Order needed to do. And basically they were they'd found some ancient artifact that could drain power from anything and could drain extreme amounts of power. So they opened up a little micro portal inside the engine, and then the technology sort of siphoned power out of the dragon dimension, out of the dragons themselves, and then used this to power the ships and stuff. And I think that was about what we had time to do. Like, afterwards, we sort of descended in arguments about what to do about this. And I think the general consensus was that this is very bad and that none of us was okay with this. But also that we weren't quite sure of, like, all of the information was very overwhelming, and we weren't quite sure about, like, how to respond or how to act.
That's
and
right.
I think that's kind of in that emotional chaos was where we left off.
Absolutely. So in that emotional chaos, we return now to the Windswift, who is in a slow orbit around the prison facility of Knaxa, with that volcano ever so ominously releasing ash into the air. And so I hand it back over to you guys. What are you doing?
Well, I don't know I can probably speak for the rest of the crew, but I'm exhausted.
Yeah, sleep or trancing is definitely on the cards at the moment.
You know that
and
within
processing
3
time.
days, the relief ship will arrive. That relief ship is the Yarko, which is commanded by Captain Pugh, and it should be here now in about 2 days, as a matter of fact. Considering that you were told that at the beginning of the day. So 2 days before the Yarko arrives. All right, so everyone's going to sleep. Is that it?
Well,
I
we
think
need
I'm
some
try and
break
get
anyway.
I'm gonna try, yeah. Con, how close, or rather, how far away from the prison facility do we need to be in order to not drown in these ashes?
Well, the ashes are unavoidable whilst we're in this area, but we'll just have to keep the crew on ash clearing duty, really. I've set us at a distance far enough away that should anyone try shoot something at us, it should be...
So right now we are all still in the map room?
Right.
Okay.
I think that's where we left off. Yeah.
Furthermore, I'd like to conduct a medical exam. I believe everyone has had a bit of a rough time of it.
Probably not a bad idea.
I'm down to my last 3 hit points.
And Jorik's gonna need replacement knees.
Entirely your own fault.
yes. I was trying to be a hero. Shut up.
All right. So is everyone going to sleep first and then go through their yearly physical with the doctor?
I'm good with you. Keep your probes to yourself. I'm good.
I think I may need to heal before going to sleep, but
Although, I guess that said, I'm forgetting the D&D mechanics of hit point restoration. So
Right.
When you sleep, if we're just playing with vanilla, if you sleep, you get all spells back, half of your hit dice if you spend any, and full hit points.
Full hit points. I was just checking that up now. You might notice I have my book in hand. It's because I accepted a challenge to learn these rules. So I'm trying to do that in the background. All right. So you guys carry on. Absolutely. So, yes, you get your hit points back, half your hit dice, and
all
spells, right?
and,
all spells, yes.
Yeah, and like feats and whatnot. I mean, they're already saying like long rest or short.
Are you saying that our GM is actually going to learn the system he's playing?
I said I'm going to try. Yes, and interestingly, it's not necessarily sleeping as well. It's just light activity, so you can actually.
Well, you could technically. No, if we're going to enter it,
no, but
you can.
Yes, we'll leave that for another day. You're quite right. I shouldn't have gone down that rabbit hole. So everyone is sleeping soundly. Nothing seems.
I'm gonna try and get a solid 8 hours sleep. It probably takes me a while to do so, and resorting to the assistance of some medical herbs, probably.
Yeah, probably not so soundly. Probably not of odd dreams.
To shut the mind up as it races through the million questions streaming through it.
Correct.
The one thing that I would do before going to rest is to speak with Naxun or Tai.
Right.
And tell them to keep an eye on what's happening in the prison and if there's any movement there.
Absolutely.
Specifically 2 spaces. 1, the exit of the maximum security, and 2, the library area. Like that was administration because we left Hurricane there with the other injured prisoner.
Copy that. Absolutely. Not a problem, sir. We'll make sure that nothing leaves. Don't you worry.
Right.
All right.
And if there's any activity, then come and see any of us, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hadasai's going to take their blanket and curl up on the floor next to the bed, just sort of in a corner, just as tightly as possible, just a little fuzzy ball of anxiety.
There we go. There we go. Nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
So a sleep, I suppose, descends upon the captains of the Windswift, and 8 hours, you think, anyway, pass. It's actually more like 12 that tick by before the crew politely knock on doors and rouse you all. Jorik, you are roused first. There is a...
Well, an elf only needs 4 hours of trance, so I'm probably up about around the others.
Trance dancing takes quite a lot of energy, so you probably sleep after that. All right, yes, so you roused first before anybody else. It's a very soft tapping from Mios.
Oh, what time is it, Mios?
It's been about 6 hours for you, sir, anyway. It's just before dawn. Only I wouldn't have woken you, except that the prisoner keeps demanding to see you. He says it's urgent.
The lizard or the slimy one?
The human. So I don't know. The slimy one? I don't know if we have a slimy one, sir.
I'm referring to his behavior.
Aha, I see. Well, he says
fine.
It's urgent. He kept saying something about Scaflior. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, you're pronouncing it wrong, but yes, I recognize it.
Oh,
It's Skovlider, but yes, I recognize it.
Right. Anyway, so I thought I should let you know.
All right, sure. I'll deal with that when I have the time. Thank you. Yes.
All right. He leaves you. Are you going to do anything before the rest wake up?
I'm gonna just see how the crew is doing. Actually, I need something to
Sort of
fill
pass
my
the
mind.
time.
Now I'm fill my mind, so don't think
Right.
about this horror.
Well, I'm afraid the crew are not doing particularly well. The morale
Tell them.
is particularly low. There's a sense that, well, who do you speak to first?
Ty, actually, because she's usually has an idea on the rest of the crew.
Right. So, yes, you speak to Lieutenant Ty. What do you ask her specifically? Because she won't volunteer any information until it's specifically spoken to.
I ask, how is the crew doing? And how's the ship doing? We just came back.
The ship is in as good a condition as can be expected, sir, given the amount of ash that keeps falling upon it, but we're keeping her ship shape and the deck clear, as well as the sails. You have nothing to worry about there, sir.
And the crew?
In what sense, sir?
Health, morale, exhaustion, everything.
There is obviously a certain amount of exhaustion that's kicked in. The ash keeps everybody busy, sir. But to be perfectly honest with you, I'm afraid I don't think anyone's... Well, let's just put it this way. Meals are being served on an individual basis. The Jock and Stokes take all their meals now in the engine room. They haven't come out since you returned. And Holly has basically said that she doesn't want to eat anything. It's really just the junior crew, Badger, Mios. Yes, it's really just it's just them, Knaxa and myself who have really been doing anything aboard the ship actually since your return.
Okay. What about the deckhands? Are they?
Well, they keep to themselves. They always have, but they're both doing their duties. They certainly take their shifts as directed, and so far have no movement down at the prison facility whatsoever. Everything seems to be fairly quiet.
All right. Well, you can tell the crew we are leaving this area relatively shortly. So
I think that will make them very happy, sir. It's very difficult to stay here in the these ash fields. Can I ask, sir, what happened down there? Only the crew
do you have a couple of hours?
To their captains, and you went into your map room and were there for quite some time and then went directly to your quarters. The crew are sensing that there's tension.
Yes, there is. There was a breakout down in the prison, obviously.
Yes, we know that much.
And we had to deal with that. And
Yes.
it was quite a messy business. Most of us were pretty badly injured, and we expended most of our energies of various forms. So we needed to rest. But as far as the tension, as you're speaking about, well, we are waiting for a relief ship, so it's coming, and they will take over Knaxa from us. And we will inform the crew of what's going to happen next after that. Once the relief ship is here and we are ready to depart, we
It's
will
your
address the
prerogative
crew.
as to what information you give us, so feel no
Yes.
pressure from us. I was just merely
No, I'm thinking
voicing our
morale-wise.
concern that our captains are taking strain.
Yes, I'm thinking morale-wise, and the crew also, quite honestly, as far as I feel, they deserve to know as well what's happening.
I
with the
can improve their morale, sir. That's not a problem.
No whips, thank you. That will be fine.
I have been warned against using such extreme measures. I was thinking perhaps more of doubling the rum issue at meals, but yes, I suppose.
Just kidding, Ty. Just kidding. We won't. That won't be necessary just yet, but I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Very good, sir.
And I walk off.
All right. Eventually, the rest of you rouse from your slumbers, feeling slightly healthier, slightly wiser, perhaps. Oh, that I don't know. But certainly still on the outskirts of that great volcano, because in the distance it has a minor eruption. That's probably what causes you to wake a little bit earlier. There's a sort of low booming rumble, and the ash gets thicker and heavier. Causing every now and again these sort of pumice stones smack against the ship, pelting it with this irritating rattle. But other than that,
Second place. Well, I presume my little dew plant of wondrousness is not functioning correctly in this environment.
you look at it and this. You're not sure. Give me a nature.
I've provided. I don't know, obviously just leave it on the windowsill exposed to the elements type of thing.
Right.
But I'm assuming it needs some sunlight to do it.
It's cast sunlight and stand in the room, sort of.
Yeah.
Please, the sun.
Nature, you say?
Yeah.
13.
The plant is not dead, you are happy to discover, but instead of it being its usual open shape, it has curled in around itself as if it's trying to hibernate. And
Bugger.
yeah, you suspect there's no sunlight here, and this is a plant that lives in a desert that has areas which retain sunlight at night because of the reflectivity of the sand and angles and all that kind of weird and wonderful stuff. So this is a plant that does not like darkness.
Well, not much I can do about that at the moment. Have a think about it, though. Sort of leave a window open. Leave it next to the window shut, obviously.
Yeah, you sort of contemplate opening the window, and the next minute there's a sort of a tat, tat, tat as bits of stone smack against the glass.
It's all rather fitting, really, I suppose. Get myself dressed.
Right.
Yeah, head for the officer's mess after that.
All right. Saket?
Well, she's feeling a bit nervous and anxious, and things aren't right. Things aren't right. To find food and find the others.
All right.
Things aren't right.
You're gonna
Breakfast sounds like a good idea.
And Jorik Adresai?
Yeah, I think they've been sort of pacing around the ship for a little while, just sort of haunting the corridors for an hour.
We're doing a masterful job of increasing morale.
Yes.
Walk around looking like ghosts.
Morose-looking captains pacing. In your pacing, the one thing that you have noticed is that you have literally only bumped into the two deckhands, who really have never been visible anyway. But because of the routes that you're taking, you just happen to pass you just happen to pass them once or twice. But they keep their eyes averted and they walk very quickly past you. Whether that's normal behavior or not, you're not entirely sure. Because like I said, Kev and Rorik are very, 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 very lacking in presence. So other than that, you don't see the Jock and Stokes. If you go up onto deck, it's not very long, because hair, fur, and ash, I don't think are a very good combination.
No.
Right. So,
No,
yeah.
I give the deckhand a sort of little reassuring pat as I pass them, but I'm not going to stress them out even more by trying to talk to them.
So
I think that would just...
There's one who stands 6'8", and there's one who stands about 5'10". Which one do you pat on the back?
I guess both of them as I sort of pass.
All right. The one kind of gives you a nod and you hear a mumbled captain. The other one just kind of goes, as you pat him, and he sort of, and that's the big one as he tries to squeeze.
Yes.
Yeah. Correct. So yeah, eventually I suppose you make your way to the officer's mess, because you can smell bacon being butchered by
There's bacon?
well, Yeah, that was what your hope was until it arrived. I hope you like your bacon black and crunchy and lacking any
We'll take it.
whatsoever.
Use prestidigitation to flavor it nicely. Nice, delicious crunches.
Right. Blaxton, what are you doing?
My faith will nourish me.
That was Hurricane.
What I will be doing is cleaning the armor after being outside in the soot. Not necessarily very good for it. And after that, praying to the Lord and Savior, hopefully.
Brax, yes, indeed. What are
Save
you
me.
praying for exactly?
Guidance, wisdom, and strength.
All right. Good prayer.
Gonna toss in some patience in there.
No patience.
No patience.
No patience.
Patience was yesterday.
Must happen now. All right. So yes, and then once you've sort of gone through your morning ritual, where are you heading?
Card room, map room, waiting for the others to arrive because we still have unfinished discussions.
Right. Absolutely.
To figure out what we want to do going forward.
Absolutely. Are the four of you going to chat while you're having breakfast, or are you going to sort of just munch quietly with the polite morning breakfast nods of people who go to hotels everywhere around the world, and then head off to the map room after that, or what do you think?
No, sorry.
I was going to say, Saket kind of looks at the blackened bacon and just disappears and makes herself a soft-boiled egg and some proper bacon, and then comes out dipping the bacon in the egg.
Oh, lovely. All right, and then goes to the map room when you're done?
Yeah, well, I probably go to the map room eating said
Right.
bacon and egg.
And
I just wants to sit down with Jorek for a minute and
All
sort
right.
of make sure that he's all right.
You know, prod through the burnt offerings for a moment, despondently sigh and get up. Well, this isn't going to go very well.
this is how your day starts. All right, so you're heading off to the map room. Okay, Jorek, Adversai, you have a moment alone where there isn't anyone present.
No. Yeah, sit down and
Don't get any ideas. Oh, yeah.
Well, so you were you seemed a bit out of sorts yesterday. Are you all right? I mean, of course you're not all right, but you seem
I'm not
less
all
all right than usual.
Do you really want to ask that question? Because there is a long and very depressing explanation that goes with that question.
Well, do we have time?
I suppose. You remember back in the academy, I never really got any good scores as far as it comes to, stability and stress management. And there's a reason for that. When I fled Drakkenmore, I lived in the wilderness for, I actually don't know how long. It was probably 60 or 70 years I lived as a savage. Somewhere near the Dwovost Mountains. And I was trying to make some form of, to get control over all this stuff going inside my head. But it was pretty steadily driving me insane. And I was more or less a savage at that point. But I was found by the Wellenberg, one of the Order ships. The Oracle there sensed me and demanded that I was to be picked up and tried or found or tested by the Order. And the captains agreed, so that's how I got into the Order.
I guess you must have been something of a beacon for a psychic.
I guess. I think that the Oracle wanted me as an Oracle. I don't know if men can become Oracles, but she probably had some form of plan, but that didn't pan out because, as I said, quite unstable. But she did teach me, or she did something very important for me anyway. She gave me the ability to control these impulses, thoughts, visions, and to compartmentalize them. They're still there, but they don't really control me as long as I focus. Otherwise, I'm just a mess of visions, and I have difficulty determining what is this time, what is the future, what is the past, what is just imagination. It's just a mess. But she helped me with that. But in times of great stress, that ability kind of breaks down, and I start getting assaulted by these visions again, and that's what's been happening for the last few days.
I can imagine.
And I apologize if I've been snappy or if I've done something inappropriate, but I quite frankly can't help it.
No, I understand. Look,
And it's a little bit alarming that it's been this bad lately.
Well, I can't really blame you. I mean, if I had uncontrollable magic in my head, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be calm right now. I'm a little concerned about Saket, actually. I mean, if she's going to start setting things on fire, but she seems to be handling it.
No offense, but I have not had time to even look at the rest of you, so I have not noticed anything. I've been very busy keeping myself from going completely off the rails.
No, I understand. Look, we should probably get going soon, but I wanted to offer you something. And I know it might not be appropriate, but if you ever need help figuring out what's real and what's not, I'm here. You can just ask, as odd as that might sound.
I'm not sure it will help, but I appreciate the gesture.
If you just need a steadying presence or anything. I won't tell anyone else. I'll leave that to you. But I'm here if you need an excuse to go somewhere quiet or anything like that.
Thank you. So, map room, I suppose?
Yeah, I guess we gotta grab the tiger by the tail and not let go.
I need to deal with that idiot down in the prison, too.
Oh, yeah. I'll tag along if you want me.
Sorry, plague, not the prison. Can't use that word around here because there's an actual prison outside.
If you want someone to be there to make sure that you don't go too far and kill him before he tells you what you want, I'll tag along.
Actually, I was planning on using a completely different form of interrogation for that guy. Using friendship and alliance to get what I want. Does not
sound like you. Are you sure you're all right? Are you sure
no,
you're
I'm not all right.
Being taken over from within by some kind of ancient ghost? Please, we need Jorik back.
But I don't think it's going to work with intimidation and antagonization with that guy because he's
probably not
as unfazed as he was by this entire rebellion and everything. I just don't think it's going to bite. So I'm going to try and be friendly and at least pretend to become his ally or something. Just be on the same side and ask him genuine questions and see if he's willing to answer genuinely. If not, well, there's always...
You can have someone stomp in and threaten to throw him off the ship, and then you can be like, no, I need him to answer my questions. Yeah. And then they can be like, no, we have to throw him off. This is a secret ship. And you can be like, no, just give me 5 minutes. He'll talk to me, I promise. And then they'll leave, and you can be like, oh, quickly, you have to tell me so I can protect you.
Adresa, you have read way too many crime novels.
No such thing.
That doesn't work.
It totally does, though.
Trust me. I've been working in law. It does not work.
That's what you as the three of you sit in the map room watching Saket eat her bacon and soft. This debate from the other two as they talk about what would and wouldn't work in the crime scene.
We head inside.
Yeah, you guys all get together in the map room.
So, nothing's right. Everything's wrong. What are we going to do?
Well,
make it right.
That is one way to put it.
First things first, do we do anything else about Hurricane and that injured guard, or do we just leave them in there to fend for themselves?
We need to make sure they're okay.
I would rather like to put a plug in for getting the chef back. I'm sick of the rubbish food.
Me too.
I'm sure we can get a new chef. We really can't go back on that decision.
I don't see how it matters now.
Did we not bring Heraclin with us when we rescued the
No.
guard?
No, we left him in
Put
the.
him in the
That was
library.
just bloody stupid, wasn't it?
We
Could have
can't.
had a nice breakfast. It's just one day.
Blaxton, did you? You mentioned something that you wanted to make sure that high security was secure. Yes.
Yes.
Probably a good idea.
So we need to go down there anyway.
So let's get the chef back while we're at it, and the poor guard.
Before we get the chef back, I think that raises a bigger question about our personnel going forward and what we want to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're right.
Trying to ignore the dragon in the room.
Well, hard to, and it would be a mistake too.
Yes, well, there is that problem, isn't there?
What do we want to do about the dragons being catered to by the administration of our order?
What can we do?
See if they are knowledgeable about it. See if they agree with it, and if they do, we need new management.
You propose we mount our own rebellion.
Cut
We
off
can't
the head
just-
of the snake, so to speak, if necessary. Yes.
We can't just storm into the main office and demand a re-election. They're just going to cut our heads off. It's not how it's going to work. We need to get allies first, and we need to do this discreetly.
Yeah, the order is not a democracy as much as our ship is.
Well, we need to see if the Archons are in bed with the Lord Archon, was it? Right? Lord Archon was the title. Yeah. With the Lord Archon. And there is one Archon we know, and I kind of at this look at Con, and I know that we can get an audience with him. We need to report in anyway because of our little escapades in the Underdark.
Mm.
See where he stands.
Archon Vestus was his name?
Yes. See where he stands, and maybe he can give us information. And if he stands against us, we solve the problem right then and there.
What? Kill him?
Well, I think at that point it'd be either we kill him or he kills us, but kind of depends on the attitude of the answer we get.
The next question is, you want to find help. It'll be hard to find help outside the orders, I think. At least direct help.
Obviously.
We have no idea how far this goes, and for all we know, all of the top leadership are involved. So
then the question is, do we even want other captains put in similar situations like us? Or would they just turn against us and we would have our entire cover blown we are having right now?
Well, the thing is, if this goes, as Con says, all the way to the top, there is no way we are going to be able to do it on our own. We need allies.
Why? We have the surprise.
And our list of allies grows quite thin.
The element of surprise is on our side.
Surprise only lasts the first time. We need friends.
So we need to make sure we strike fast and hard.
Blaxton, are you suggesting we walk up into the headquarters and just kill the Lord Archon?
Well, as I said, I think we should talk to Vestus. He should be around the headquarters anyway.
Yes, but the thing is, if we kill the Lord Archon, we won't even have a chance to explain why we did it. They're just going to kill us. Immediately. And whatever we say after having killed the Lord Archon is not going to be listened to. We will achieve nothing.
That's why I want to speak to Vestus first before I go to the Lord Archon. See if there's any other we can speak with this about who agrees with us. Maybe isn't able to move because of the fear of talking with each other. But I don't think talking with other captains will bring us any further because they just have the same problems as we do. We need to speak to someone in power, need to bring them on our side or have them on our side and just opening up communication channels. But one thing is certain. Lord Archon was there from the beginning. He knows of this. He was the one accepting this
Yes, he's probably the only one we can say for sure that is in on this, except for the gnomes, obviously. But when we're talking about leadership.
Yes.
With the gnomes, there's the whole issue of were they just following orders?
Well, yes, according to the Drachenstokes, they did, but at the same time, Deacon Varda had Section 13 send things from...
There might be still a Rex Drakkari in there, yes.
Yes.
But I think...
We need to investigate Section 13.
I agree, but I think much more important...
As far as going on obeying orders, excuses, I mean, if we are told to do something that is obviously illegal, would we do it if we were ordered to?
No.
Obviously not, since we're sitting here planning a rebellion just because the order goes against them.
I mean, am I to understand that each of you is prepared to turn and try and subvert, change, overthrow the current leadership of the orders?
Yes.
This is where you're all at?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Con, but yes.
Am I the only sensible one here? You realize
what do you want to do?
Die.
What do you want to do? Just run off and live in the forest forever? Could you just let this go on?
I'd rather die in doing the right thing than sit there pandering to the wrongs of the world.
I would rather do the right thing and not die, thank you, Blaxton, but yes.
I'm not as idealistic as those two, but look, the Order is obviously not doing the job it was supposed to be doing, so it's the most powerful and really the only tool we have against the dragons returning. If we don't do something now when we have the chance, they're just going to come back all the sooner. And we have a responsibility as the only people with the possibility of doing something to actually help.
But to answer your question, Con, I have no intention of throwing my life away.
And there's one more thing that maybe wasn't clear. If the Lord Archon brings forth anything that would explain this, which I find highly unlikely, then there's a possibility of reconsideration. But right now, at the information that we have, I think, at least for me, what needs to be done seems quite clear.
Yeah, I joined the Order to rid the world of the dragons for good, or to at least make sure they never come back. And I could not go on living knowing that there is a possibility of them returning. This is my only option. I'm sorry.
If you want to get out, Con, at least I wouldn't blame you. This is a big thing. This is a pretty much a life-shattering thing to embark on. And if you don't want to be in on it, I couldn't blame you.
I think this is a perfect showcase on what we need to decide then on the personal matter. Well, matter of personnel.
But yes, I'm not as idealistic as you are, Blaxton. I have no intention of doing this regardless of what happens. I would like to do this intelligently and with a large chance of success. Which, to be fair, sounds like you want to, but I just want to make sure that I'm not willing to run to my death just because it's the right thing to do.
I slap a bottle and a glass down on the table from the cabinet next to me. Well, since you're all so determined to die pointless deaths, I pour out the sizable measure and glug on it.
Yeah, it's already 8 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, what's the difference, honestly, Con, from what we've been doing so far? You just follow around after us, trying to make sure we don't die.
We're all going to die. As long as we all understand this. Probably pretty quickly, too.
No, yes, I mean, we're all going to die.
I would like, a couple of more centuries before that happens, because...
But what happens to people who go up against the Order? People like us come for them.
Yes.
That's why we need to get more proof.
I think...
And then we can get allies in the other captains. There may be grounds...
Want more proof? Let's go to the engine room right now and see what's in there.
Actually, I want to do that anyways.
I do have a couple of more questions for the Drachenstokes, honestly.
All right, this line of very determined captains marches through the ship towards the engineering room, and you arrive at the doors that lead directly into the engineering room and are very aware of all of the signs written in all of the languages that one can find within the Treaty of the Orders.
I but speak the language of truth right now.
Oh, it's not written in that, I'm afraid. It's everything other than that, actually.
Jorik opens the door and says, "Good morning, Jock and Stokes."
Wouldn't it be locked?
Well, it's supposed to be.
In that case, I kick it. No.
It's supposed to be, but it certainly does. It does open. And you see standing next to this very similar looking engine to the one that was in the prison, only it's half the size. It really isn't nearly as impressive or as big.
I mean, it's also a small ship, right?
Absolutely right. So standing next to the mouth of it are the two Jock and Stokes, dressed and looking as sharp and as fine as they possibly could. Their beards have been oiled and neatly tailored. Their suits have been cleaned of all the grime and the muck. And as you walk in, they both stand at attention.
Are they ready to die or something?
Captain,
looks like it.
Been expecting you.
Go inside and close the door behind us for now, I think.
You've been expecting us?
Aye.
All right. Why?
It was the only logical thing that you could possibly do. Come and check your own engine before making any decisions further. So we made sure that she's as clean as possible. You are the first captains that we know of, anyway, who've ever seen the inside of a Challenger-class ship's engine room. We'll make sure that you get the best picture you possibly can.
Jorik actually lets out a little chuckle.
Apparently no one else has had a death wish before.
Oh, Jock and Stokes, never change, please. All right, let's have a look at this.
Open her up.
There is an old proverb amongst engineers that say, "Don't stare too long, lest you get pulled through." And
to get turned into a lizard person, more like it.
Well, that's the subtext. He pulls on a so where you were manually grabbing the hatch handle and lifting up, he goes to the side of the engine, and basically all he does is he pulls on this very simple lever, which, as he pulls down, the grate opens up, so that you can see that none of them are exposed to the magic that radiates out of the engine the moment that he does open it up. If you've got any magical items upon yourself, please don't get within 3 feet of the mouth of the engine. It can cause problems, and please do not cast any magic within at least 10 foot of the open engine. Otherwise, it will remove your soul from your person.
Yeah, we've seen that one.
Aye. If you want to have a look through.
Yeah, I go up and I sort of drop my focus and I sort of go up and have a look.
All right. As you look through, you see the swirling vortex, and beyond it, you can definitely see that there's this dry desert plain with this red rock, very weathered, very Grand Canyon-esque style iron rock that obviously windswept and has taken.
Remind us quick, was this the same landscape we saw in the other one too?
Identical. Well, very, very similar. Not the same geography, yes, but very, very
like same biome.
Correct.
But no dragons nearby, yes?
No dragons.
Good.
Give me a perception check.
The cat?
Step back.
Yes.
Bathe
give me a
yourself.
check, please, Andrew. Sorry.
Bathe yourself in all.
Oh, that's a 1.
All right. Yep. Nothing.
First roll of the day. I step aside.
So, is it?
Yeah, I've seen what I need to see.
Well, it's the same as it was before. There are no dragons this time, but it's the same.
So, Jorik and Saket, you both look.
One.
Yes.
All right. Give me perception checks, please.
All right.
I don't even bother to look. If they're all looking, I'm like...
You're just drinking.
I've seen this shit
No,
already.
I left the drink behind, but it's just like, if they all say
21.
it's the same, then I'm going to go with that. You know.
All right.
21.
I think that might be the same for me.
I'm also not too fond to look into the devil's anus, so
Right.
No.
Oh no,
Safe
22.
passage.
22. All right.
Oh, you just had to one up me.
I'm fairly confident
Sorry.
it's there anyway, so it's like...
The two of you are looking down into this portal, and although the place does look absolutely lifeless, you realize that in the far distance, you can actually see movement. You realize now it looked to be like a limestone stripe of white something in the far distance, but you now start to look at it and focus on it. And what starts to happen is the portal starts to move, and it starts to move closer to that white stripe.
oh, you can move it.
You
Right.
now start to realize is it's a bunch of elves. They're clad in loincloths and chains, and they're being marched from somewhere to somewhere else.
They're ice elves, aren't they?
What?
They're not nearly as pale as ice elves. They look like high
Right.
elves.
Oh,
Hang on.
do you see that?
Yes, I see that, and that's particularly worrying me now.
And then there's the cat next to you is like, what's he want?
What are you talking about?
What? I don't see anything.
Right?
They're clearly not elves. Those were rocks. I think you're
No.
fine.
Those are magical
No.
things,
No, everything is very wrong now.
Right.
And
So they were being led, you said?
Yes, and at the front of them they looked like tieflings, but they looked like dragons. So dragonborn are basically leading them. Clad.
There would be something like, what I don't know how to say this in English, like the chain that when they're manacled and next to it, like one to the next to the next.
Correct.
There will be. There's a German word for it, which I could say. But
Why are there elves in the prison dimension, Jockenstoke?
Might I close them all, sir?
Elves?
Being exposed takes quite its toll.
Yes.
Close it.
Captain
Close it.
Blaxton Con, you haven't had a gander yet. Do you want to do that, or shall I close it?
I'm fine.
Close it.
Crack!
Yes.
And the door shuts.
Close.
Oh.
Been enough, I think. What are you crowing about? Elves in there? What?
high elves in chains, and then there were other things.
They were led by a... It looked almost like a tiefling, but more like a lizard. Like a grown-up gnome lizard thing. A dragon... Dragonborn, maybe?
Thing? I'm
A half-dragon, maybe. I don't know. Jockenstokes. Waffen. Quallen. What the hell? Why?
So
We
many
don't
questions.
look, sir. I have no idea.
No, I don't mean you looked, but do you have any idea why there would be elves in the prison dimension?
Beats me, sir. We've only ever seen a beastie or...
I have one more question for you before I can leave. How long and what would you need to power down an engine, this engine, and the other engine back in the citadel, in the prison?
It takes about an hour for an engine of this size, sir, to shut it down completely and to discharge the magical build-up within the engine itself. And the engine down in the prison system, I reckon probably about 4 hours in total, sir. But I should warn you, once it's powered down, it'll take about a day and a half to get it repowered back up again.
Don't think that'll be an
It's double
issue.
the magic units that it normally would for about a week.
It's not the problem.
Look, I have a question that confuses me a lot about this. How did you open up a portal in the engine? That's not supposed to be possible.
Yeah, the anchors are there to prevent that from happening.
Is this the ancient device?
Yes, but the ancient device drains power from the dimension. It's not what opens the portal, right?
From
So-
what I understand, because I'm not a portal mechanic, it's not my forte. I'm more on keeping these things going rather than creating new ones. It's quite a process, but there's a way around it, apparently. I'm not
There's
sure.
a way around the anchors?
There's such a thing as a portal mechanic.
Well, aye, there's someone who's got to build the things, sir. I mean, these don't just make themselves. So there's specialists that know how to do this, of course. They're kept in, the secret's been safe for 300 years, sir. It hasn't got out how these things are manufactured. And there's not a lot of them out there either.
The secret is out.
So not only are there portals in every engine that a dragon technically could...
These are micro portals, though, sir. You'd need phenomenal amounts of magical ability to make them big enough to get through.
Like the magical power of a dragon?
Aye, well, yes, but...
Like the magical power of 100 mages determined to open a portal to the dragon dimension.
It's theoretically possible, aye, but you've got to understand these magical engines themselves. There's more to it than just a portal. The portal's only kept stable because of the way that the engine works in the very first place. It siphons power out of the dragons to keep parts of the portal open anyway, and it restricts the size of the portal at the same time. So it's really... The more magic they pour into it, the stronger the engine gets. But whilst our devices are operational...
So what happens to the portal once you shut the engine down, if that's what's keeping it stable?
The portal collapses.
Collapses?
Provided that you do it in the right way, aye.
And nothing can get through the portal once it's collapsed, right? That's it. Finished, closed, done.
Once we shut down the engine and we close the portal, you can't open it up again. Well, at least certainly not from their side. From our side, we can. That's how we restart the engine, of course. But like I said, that takes a good couple hours at the very least.
And there was also a way around the anchors.
So you could start up this portal again?
I have the means to do so, aye, but I couldn't create a new one if that's what you're asking. I can only work with what's existing here.
Yes, but so what if somebody took over an Order ship and or found an engine of a crashed ship? Could they theoretically use
that they'll find the engine of a crashed ship? We have.
Please stop telling us about unlikely. We've heard that word enough these last few days, and we're really, really tired of it.
Aye, there's a cleanup crew. They monitor the locations of all the ships.
Last time we heard these words was from the warden of the prison, saying it is absolutely unlikely that ever somebody would escape, and now he's dead by the one
of those. If they managed to get hold of a ship, they'd have to understand how the engine works in the first place. And to be quite frank with you, unless they've got a gnome, they'll either let the thing depower and destabilize, in which case, for a very brief moment of time, that portal can expand open. Like
one of the gnomes we have in the brig right now, because they wanted to open...
Aye, well, that's obviously a different case, isn't it? I mean, that's. I don't know what
is it though. Apparently, from what you're saying, this kind of thing happens a lot. There's even like a whole division in Sector 13 devoted to dealing with these gnomes.
You even have a word for it.
The gnomes, it's dealing with abandoned ships or ships that are no longer capable of flying and that need to be retrieved.
Well, I think this just. Go ahead.
What do you think? I know you have a job and a specialism and a skill and training and duties and oaths, but what do you think about all of this?
I'm not sure I take your meaning, sir.
Well, you have an opinion.
If you were in control of your own faculties, if you haven't sworn any oaths and would just follow your whim,
what's your gut instinct on this situation, on this technology?
I stand by the technology, sir. If it's in reliable hands, it's perfectly acceptable. There's no way to get around the planet faster. Or the Drow might claim that their little teleportation circles do the job. But they're limited in number, and their range requires a lot of relays all over the place. Just maintaining their network is an absolute nightmare. Here we've got ships that are capable of moving at 250 miles a day. There's nothing that comes close to that. If you want something that can respond rapidly, this was as I said, this was the only way to go about it. I know.
Sounds like a party line, Jock and Stoke.
Mm-hmm. Does it really?
Is that what you truly believe? That this is the best solution?
Well, I can't think of any other solutions, sir, unless you want to go back to the Age of Sail. And
you can't.
Then you've got a 3-week turnaround time from any one point. And you can't have a whole bunch of agents running around the planet that have got the capacity to decapitate a king. You need some kind of control, I reckon. And if we can siphon off magic from those dragons, I don't see why not. Yes, there's a chance that they might come through, but it's so small that even if one of them were to do it, sir, we'd know about it because we are the Order, and we'd be able to respond to it like that because we've got the ships that can do it. But if one of these creatures managed to come through under normal means, and we found out about it through normal processes, think about the damage that it could cause when it's free to reign for 4 or 5 weeks whilst we board a normal ship and hope for good winds whilst we sail towards trying to find this creature. There is only one way to respond to these beasts, and I say if we're sucking the power out of them, that's a risk it's willing to take. It's worked so far.
So what you're basically suggesting is that we have enslaved the dragons as a power source.
Aye.
And that's acceptable.
Absolutely. They did it to us for 5,000 years. They paid no respects to our anything, so I don't see why not.
What do you think the Rex Drakkari wanted to
I
do?
have a headache.
Not sure exactly who they are, sir, but I would... from what I heard in the crew rooms, I believe that they were investigating these engines of some kind, or trying to take over the oracles. Wasn't that what they were trying to do? I really don't know too much about the Rex Drakkari, sir.
You are a member of the Order.
Aye.
You must be aware of the edicts. Do I need to remind you of Edict 1, the very first one?
Aye, this is not dragon technology. Well, not really. We designed it. It's gnomish through and through. It just uses a dragon as a battery sort of thing. And the engines are not dragon in their design originally anyway.
No, but there is a freaking portal in the middle of it.
I've heard
Attempts
enough.
to open portals or rifts to the draconic prison dimension.
I suppose...
How does that work with the Order? How? Explain to me how the Order could ever write such an...
us to do it. So when we presented this option to them, from what I understand anyway, it was
If the Lord Archon would reverse his decision
and shut down the engines.
Would you want to continue using these engines because they're the best possible way to do things?
Well, no, sir, I follow orders, so if it's shut down the engines, it's shut them down. But I'd personally quietly voice my concerns, sir, in the right capacity and to no one in particular. But certainly...
I think we need to address the crew anyway.
You need to tell the crew about what's going on in these engines.
I said we need to address the crew anyway.
Yes.
What we're going to do, I don't know what my fellow captains think right now. We need to talk this out. But don't think I have any more questions towards you. I think we're starting to run in circles here.
Yes.
No.
Very good. Keep everything in order. We'll be
Absolutely.
back. Turn and leave.
Out of fear of another existential crisis, no, I don't have any more questions.
I still would like to know what the High Elves were doing in there. I mean, that...
I'm afraid I can't answer that question. I'm not sure what they were doing there. Perhaps it was a mirage, or perhaps maybe...
Perhaps you can ask one of those portal engineers when we meet them.
I think we really need to go to
meet them
Section
unless you're
13.
planning
I mean, we've got other things to do, but we need to go to Section... I have so many questions.
You want to go to Section 13? You don't understand. They don't allow visits. It's not like you can just walk in and ask for a tour.
I really wasn't proposing just to walk in and have a tour. But anyway, we'll get to that later.
Yes, that is definitely on a very long list of things we need to do.
Right, you are.
I've already left.
Yeah, I follow.
Door slams behind me.
All right, where do you all leave to? Back to
I would be the last to leave
right.
And address the Drachenstokes as I basically close the door and say, I stand by my word. What I said about Sector 13, as well as what I said now, and what I will say in the future. Take it as you will. Now, make sure this portal in this hellish machine doesn't open while we discuss our things.
No, absolutely not, sir.
close the door and kind of follow with the rest.
Well, I think that went well, Quallen. What do you think? Well, we've both still got our heads, so I don't think they're necessarily going to kill us just yet. What the bloody hell do you think they were talking about elves there? Well, let's be honest, Quallen, Quaffin, if it was elves, is that necessarily a bad thing? I mean, it's really just, they all belong together, I suppose. Well, I know you're trying to make a joke about that, but, oh, God, the horn's still open. All right. And
Are those two the Muppets, like the old Muppets on the balcony?
All right. Anyway, so that's possibly the conversation.
So I have a serious problem if doing all this what we just discussed, the horn.
That was just to like.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that would be well.
That would be very fun. Everyone else.
The morale of the crew. Let's put it like this.
Can I suggest next step in this before we go back to the engines and check out security? That we talk to the gnome lizard thing that we have in our hold.
What do you want to talk to that thing about?
Anything at this point.
All right.
Well, yeah. Is it going to tell us the truth? That's just one question I have. And, okay, I guess we could try.
Con, do you have any strong sedatives or?
Well, you'd be shouting at my disappearing back down.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like Con.
Headed to the map room.
Yeah, we're following you as you.
Yeah.
We
Well, talk to it without getting acid in our faces.
I stop and go, of course! Doesn't sound like I'm answering your question, but I turn around and head for the infirmary.
Of course!
All right.
Take over the world. Of course!
Of course!
Who's following Con to the infirmary?
No one, I think. At least not Jorik. Jorik's going to the map room.
All right. Blaxton, you're going to map room? Map room. Adversai?
Yeah.
All right. So, Con, you get to the medical bay.
I poke through my belongings and souvenirs and find a suitable river pebble, and I cast daylight on it, and I plonk it and arrange it next to my plant.
Right. Okay. As you bring the daylight next to it, you can see those leaves automatically start to uncurl slightly as it detects the sunlight spell.
That's better. Grow, little thing, grow. Right. Off we go.
I think on the way up I'm going to cast my comprehend languages.
All right.
Good old
comprehend languages. All right. So yes, you once again back in the map room. I think this episode is going to be called the map room. Right.
Yeah. No, Con.
There and back again.
Yes. There and back again. Yes.
A Peter Jackson ending. All right. So yes.
Con, the reason I asked for the sedative is we have 2 prisoners in the brig, and I would rather not have to deal with the other prisoner while we're talking to the first one.
Well, we have different rooms, like different jail rooms, don't we?
Yeah, they're 5 foot apart.
Yeah,
yes, but they are cages, right? Or are they actually rooms?
No. They've got cage doors on the front. So yes, you're quite right. They'll be able to talk to each other.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can find something in my supplies.
Yes, if you can make the slimy one sleep while we talk to the lizard, that would be nice.
Right. I wander back to my infirmary. Get out my water and pestle.
Before you leave, can we just...
Right, so just before you leave, Con, absolutely, so we don't have to go.
Somebody grabs me by my shoulder, yes?
Yes.
Can we just finish this discussion? I think talking to the prisoners has some time until we know what we want to do.
All right.
I think we need to talk to the crew.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do we want to do with the crew?
We need to shut down the engine and get rid of it.
Well, yes, obviously.
Which possibly means alterations to the
Given
bill.
our conversation we've just had with the Jock and Stokes, this could be problematic.
In what way?
Well, did it sound to you like they're going to just go along with whatever it is that we're planning on doing next?
That is what I wanted to speak about. What do we want? We need to talk to the crew no matter what we want to tell them. What do we want to tell them? What do you want to tell them? I know what I want to do.
We're revolting against the Order. Come and join us.
I think we need to be honest.
Gods preserve us.
I think we need to tell them what we have found out and ask them how they feel about that and hope that their feelings go with our feelings and we don't end up chopping anybody's heads off.
So you want to kill anybody who doesn't agree with us?
I think that may be a risk we have to face because if they don't agree with us, the most likely course of action is to go back to the Order and tell somebody else in such a way that we get our heads cut off. And I'm quite attached to my head being on my body.
It's got a point.
Other side?
Well, as much as I want to give these people the same choice that we've been offered.
You call this offered? I call it shoved upon us.
Shoved upon us, fine. Look, as much as I want to offer them the safe choice that we've been shoved up our backsides, I am also quite concerned that they're going to tell on us, as it were, and then we lose any chance we have of doing this quietly.
But at the same time, they are comrades. We've worked together for...
I'm not going to enjoy.
Fair enough. I've not worked with this crew very long, but I mean, you two have. And they're still Order members. They're still doing what they believe is right.
They're still following the edicts.
Yes.
Well, the edict's on our side for all I care.
Mm.
Yes, when the Order ignores edict number 1, we kind of, there's a problem.
Evoke edict number 7?
It's getting like that, which would be beneficial to us because then it puts the captains in charge and then all the captains will join our fight anyway.
If they believe us, that is.
Yes, but the problem is the Lord Arcan's just going to say, ha! No! And then we're dead.
I don't...
But yeah.
So, I think there are two options. I don't want to, from my point of view, I don't want to kill anybody. They've all grown, and I have grown an attachment to them. However, I cannot be sure that they would follow in the same logic that we kind of.
There's only one way to find out.
So there would be two options. Either leave them here in the prison and then we are on our merry way and we kind of circumvent this entire situation.
When we have 3 days.
We still need an explanation as to why we've abandoned our crew.
Because we can't wait here. We need to leave as soon as possible to do our thing. And then there needs to be someone here for the relief crew to arrive.
But then they'll tell the relief crew. It'll give us 2 days at most.
If they don't know anything, it's fine.
Oh, you mean leaving them without telling them anything?
Yes. But I trust these people too. And I would want to tell them the truth.
I believe you're right.
I don't believe in this entire situation what the Orders have kind of installed here. Not telling the truth is one of the things I find very irritating. So it would be wrong for me then not to tell the truth.
I was just going to say, we're not going to solve this big conspiracy and subterfuge by using more subterfuge.
Yes.
Or by ourselves.
So,
Exactly.
if everybody of them disagrees with us after we told them, after we've shown them what we know, if necessary, and they still disagree with us, maybe we are insane, not them. But I don't believe that they will.
No.
If we're going to be looking for allies and telling people about this anyway, then might as well start with their own crew.
If we cannot trust them, we cannot trust anyone.
Those people we know the most, those people who we fought with, killed with,
live with,
and led with. Yes, and lived with.
So do we start with Ty and work our way down?
Everyone
I think we address all that at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You should probably pay back Lieutenant Ty's debt first, though, or she will never forgive you for the gambling you did on the way here. I'm just kidding. Never mind.
What?
And I think we should do this with the gnomes in attendance.
To confirm.
No. To show them the resolve of the crew and maybe to sway them. And I want to have everybody there because I don't think this again, subterfuge and division is the way forward.
Mm.
No,
And we
this
can even
is-
offer to show them the portal personally if they doubt.
If necessary.
Now, this is more or less the interest of any sapient being in this entire world, so we have to stand together as a crew, not just captains.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, and if
So-
there's just one or two that disagrees, there's always the brig.
Well, hopefully not necessary.
Because as I said, I do not want to kill anyone,
No,
just
I
for
agree.
doing what
So
they
then-
believe is right.
So then
What
the
if
next thing
it's
would be,
the
do we want...
Oracle who disagrees with us?
The Oracle?
Lily.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That is a problem indeed.
She may be the one who we cannot afford to not
No.
kill if she does not agree.
Well, perhaps, but I still believe everybody on board this ship needs to share our vision.
Yes.
It would be ludicrous to expect anybody to disagree with us. That's necessarily, by the way, just saying as a player right now, that's necessarily not what I would think, and I would
No.
do. That's what Blaxton would do.
Yes.
Just make very clear. here.
I was just going to say that that's a nice vision.
And Blaxton, what happens if you are wrong? What if Lily already knows all of this, and that's part of being an oracle, is knowing?
Well, then we'll just
About to find out.
Yeah.
Now, before we do this, however,
I guess
what
you're
do we
right.
want to do once we dealt with the Dust Bowl out there? Do we want to see for Sector 13? Do we want to meet with Archon Vestus? Do we want to do the meeting in 3 weeks we had set up with the Arch Relica?
We should do that meeting.
Yes, we should do that.
If nothing else. But do we go there by water?
Yes.
Suppose we...
Yeah, we have to.
Oh, then we could visit the library city on the way. Just a quick
Yes.
stop. I'm serious. Do you still not want to know what this book does?
Okay, yes, okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
actually.
Talk to the crew, and then we've got some other things to deal with down there.
Let's sort out the
And
ship
Let's
and
sort
the
out the
crew.
prison first, because there are possible crewmates down there as well.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
We're going, all right.
Let's go deal with the prison.
We'll tell the crew that we'll explain this once we are on our way out of here. That will hopefully brighten their
Mood.
mood
Morale.
until we tell them.
Let's do that. All right.
Yes, I want my cook back. Can we agree
Right.
on that?
I
Look,
think
if he agrees with us, I'll
given
take
the
anything.
circumstances,
Yes, sure.
definitely need.
Provided he volunteers, of course, because then I think
I think he's
Yeah.
going to volunteer. Have you seen what's going on out there?
First day at work, everybody dies.
Second day at work, the dragons are here. Do you want to come back?
Right.
No!
I like it here. It's so cozy and warm. And dark, like at home.
Kitchen is much bigger here.
All right, so you assemble the crew. You're going to have to assemble them in the cargo hold. There's just nowhere else that's big enough. The map room certainly isn't for everybody to gather.
Or do we do the prison first and check out the thing and then bring Hurricane back so we can...
I think we don't assemble the crew. We just open the corks and address everybody through that. And we'll address
we
them
be
once we're
doing
going, right?
in person so that people can like ask
we're
questions.
talking about two
We can
different
see
things.
their reaction.
We're
Let's
talking about two different things. Confusion. We're just telling them that we're leaving, and we'll tell them
Yes.
we'll be back.
Oh, sorry. I thought there was going to be a big speech. And
No, we
No,
get
there will
our
be.
cook. We get
draw
our cook and the
line.
guard we
Right.
kind of have rescued because we don't want to repeat this whole spiel about
And
Right.
check out high security. Make sure it's still high security,
Right. Okay.
And-
Okay. All right. So,
and then tell the crew about stuff.
right. All right. So, yes, you inform the crew that you will be departing shortly. There's a response from Lieutenant Ty, which she cannot hide her joy at hearing that, although she does try.
hearing what exactly, that we're
That
leaving?
you're going to be leaving.
Excuse me?
I think our dear GM is being sarcastic.
So, yes, and then you're going to descend down to the prison.
Yes.
Again.
Let's meet up with Hurricane first, right?
Yes.
Get them on
And tell
board.
them to get back on the ship.
Oh, well, hang on. Before we go, we should warn Lieutenant Ty that Heraclan and the guard bloke will be coming aboard shortly, and not to shoot them, please.
Yes.
Roger that. Absolutely
Good point.
understood. All right. So are you descending on the platform back down into the prison, I suppose, in those buffeting winds?
Right.
All right. Absolutely. So again, this time you
And
are.
once we're back and on our way out of here, we'll address the entire crew and what conspired here and what we'll do going
All right,
forward.
absolutely not a problem. You get back down to the prison now, completely aware of the winds that buffet the trolley that you're in as you go down. And you find it as morbidly quiet as it is empty. Hurricane and the guard are still in the library. Hurricane has done what he can for the guard. You can see that he's brought some food. There's some clean water. He's changed the bandages on the guard's wounds as instructed. And when you arrive, he obviously has a lightning rod in his hand as you approach the library. But the moment that he sees that it's you, he immediately puts it aside and stands next to the guard, waiting for order, basically.
Good.
Did you find his name?
Of the guard? Yes, sir. His name is Cabin.
Like the cabin?
Yes, his parents were shipwrights.
And he was a what?
Fisherman, I suppose.
Fisherman?
I guess that's where he was conceived, in the cabin.
He looks like
Excellent.
a sleeping soldier. I have not been here long, but I suspect that is not a joke that goes down well with him, since apparently he left his family at a very young age to come here as a prison guard. So
At least
Very
he didn't. At least he isn't called Gangplank.
Right, well done, Hurricane. Excellent job holding the fort. If you could pack up this one, and do you think you can manage to get him back to the Windswift? The
I think-
elevators are...
I think we need to just escort him there because we also need to send the gnomes to shut down this operation.
No, we should have done that before we left the ship.
We
Well,
did.
if they shut them down, we might not actually be able to go back into high security. And
It's
Yeah,
different
that's-
energies. It's a different loop.
Yeah, but getting to
Isolated
it,
system.
getting to and from it requires the
Yes, it does.
Okay, so as far as I understood it, the entire high security energy system is not the one we have been dealing with anyway.
correct.
yes,
Except
So
for the
to
elevator down.
physically access
The
high
elevator down
security-
was also not part of the rest of
But
the.
as Connor's
right?
pointing out, there is a long corridor that has 3 separate doors in it, which are operated by the prison facility. That's by
Well, we have 4 hours for them to shut it down. I guess we'll manage. Open the doors and just keeping them open.
absolutely.
Well, one of us needs to go back to the ship and get the gnomes. Then
I'll do that.
go with. All right, you help Hurricane with the body. We'll wait here.
Not a problem. It takes about half an hour, but eventually Jorik returns, having installed Hurricane and the guard. Whilst you're on board the ship, once the guard has been placed into the infirmary, Hurricane turns to Jorik and says, "Must I now return to the prison, sir?"
No, I would like you to remain here for the time being, at least.
Yes, sir.
We'll explain when we get back. It's complicated, to say
Very
the
good.
least. But you stay here for now, and you report to Lieutenant Tai just as usual.
while
She's been informed of this as well.
Yes, please set up the galley properly again.
As he's going, set up a galley, set up a galley.
Set up the galley. This is
Special
a mess,
request.
and I'm sorry if it's a bit of a mess.
as
All right.
as we wait, I want to find a couple of bottles of wine that the warden mentioned that they make here because I'm really curious and I want to have some. I gotta need some after this.
Right. Well, it's not difficult. What Hurricane has done is basically he's had a lot of time on his hands, so he moved a lot of the pantry up here into the library.
Just grab a couple.
Absolutely. So you can easily grab 6 bottles of Knaxa.
Not sure I can fit that much in my bag, but
So
I'll help.
up to you.
I pick up
Nice.
Hurricane's abandoned lightning staff and
All right.
look at it for a bit, and then chuck it to Blaxton and go, "There you are. Now you can shoot lightning too."
Jorik
All right.
returns.
Yeah.
all right,
with
let's
the
go.
gnomes.
Do they find their way down to the engine? They don't, right?
I don't think they can because they need the palm to open
Right.
the door.
I'll
Not
just leave them to the map room, put my hand into the orifice,
Right.
activate the entire thing, and there it is.
And
Please
you
shut
want
it
us to begin shutting it down, sir?
Yes.
Right, you are, sir.
Also, while you're there, could you see what has actually been done to the engine? Because it has been altered and it has been worked with. And I'd like
Androsai,
to
don't
know
you
what
have, you
done.
mentioned this before, don't you have the notifications on you? Can you just show them?
You wrote down the runes that were inscribed on the inside of the engine.
Yes,
Yes, we
did.
did.
No. Yes, but I also meant the from the warden. You mentioned you had like some of the papers you found.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Right, the components, correct, that had been
Yes.
ordered. Yes.
Yes. No,
Right.
I can show them that.
Androsai has that, yes.
Yes. No, I want this back, but go make sure and figure out what was done down there.
All right. We'll do that.
And shut it down. Right,
Begin the
thank you.
process. It will take about 4 hours, and if I know what this facility's run on, once we do that, this place is going to go very dark.
Yes, so bring...
Torches.
actually, is there a stick or something nearby? Just
You don't need to
something?
worry about us. Don't you worry.
Okay, good.
We'll be able to sort ourselves out.
The Jorg's looking around for something to put a light on.
But,
All right. Thank you very much.
all right. They disappear off.
Okay,
We head
High
down
sec.
to high sec.
yes.
All right. Adressai, you remembered the code to reactivate the elevator. You
Bloop, 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 bloop.
right?
1, 2,
Elevator.
3,
Right.
4.
It would be, wouldn't it?
You all board the elevator and it starts to descend. Are you going to stop at the observation level, or are you going
I want to go full down. I
All
want
the
to
way
go
down
If
into
they
the-
want to stay, go on the observation, like window kind of
Right.
there, but was one above.
We stick
They
together.
Yeah, we're still
I will go completely the way down.
All right. You get all the way down to the bottom and the doors unlock. And as they do, you can see that there are 4 very nervous looking and very tired, grimy looking guards, all with those staves.
Do they shoot at us as every other guard has done so far?
No. They hold their weapons and
Good for them.
they look at the 5 of you.
Good
Captain,
morning.
has the prison been retaken, sir? Says one. A quick glance, Con, from your side. It looks as if they haven't had lots of water. They look very dehydrated. They haven't had any sleep whatsoever. They really look like they're on the point of exhaustion. The one you can see, he's kind of standing there, but he's really
Swaying.
sort of swaying. He's holding the staff. He's more acting out of instinct than anything else.
Oh dear, gentlemen, you have done your duty and then some. I march forward and sort of start giving them the once over.
All right. They just look as if they you don't have to make any rolls. It's very simple, very easy to identify what's wrong with them. Like I said, dehydration, extreme fatigue. It smells like they haven't had a wash in 2 days at least. But they've also been under incredible adrenaline rushes, which you can smell on the skin. It's tangible. These men have been at their wits' end for a long time.
Yeah, so anything that you can put water in?
We ran out of water yesterday, sir.
Yes.
I'll just give him my
Have
flask, like the first one that is there.
All right.
I'll just.
He
Do you
hands
have
it around.
anything you could put water in?
Helmets?
Yes, sir. Helmets, absolutely. They all sort of take.
I think it would be easier just to relieve them.
Well, we can't quite do that yet. We'll be here for another 4 to 6 hours anyway. Drink something, get something to sleep. We'll take over for now.
Right, you are, sirs. The rest of the prison, is it secure?
Yes.
It is.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty much secure.
I mean, we killed all the
Except for the big hole in the wall and...
The prisoners are all dead.
And
And,
the warden?
he's
Yeah.
He's
dead
dead too.
also dead.
And I think one of your colleagues from upstairs is still alive.
Yay.
Captain Benteen?
No, that arsehole's gone.
No, he was executed for crimes against
Anyhow.
mother.
You gentlemen have
The
done
one
well.
who's on basic, the one who's sort of basically operating just stopped laughing. uncontrollably, and you realize this is just hysteria brought on by
I go up and I sort of gently move the staff away and I give him a hug.
It's like, not at me again.
No, it's down. There. It's okay.
Yeah, the
Okay.
one who's sort of left standing, he sort of ushers the other three into the elevator.
So the one that is in charge, I would kind of
Yes.
look at him and say, like, please give me the keys.
To the cell, sir.
Yes. This is not a request.
You can see that he's assessing his men versus the 5 of you, and he realizes what this is. And so he goes to his pouch and he pulls out a rather complicated-looking crystal device, which he hands over to you. This will manually open the cells, since
I saw it.
assume you
Yes.
don't have enough hands. Yes.
Now,
Can we request that we have at least 4 hours to try and leave the facility if you are going to open the cells?
I will not open the cells.
So you should probably just head up to the administration part and wait for backup.
Why would you need only 4 hours? I mean, or rather, why do you need so many hours to get out of the facility if we did open the cells?
It's inescapable anyway, right? Anyway, I don't really give anything about it. You have 4 to 6 hours time to recuperate. In 2 days' time, a relief force will come and then help you.
I apologize. I thought you'd taken the facilities, sir. It just seemed everything went wrong when you arrived.
No.
I apologize, sir. Absolutely. Yes, we'll do our best. For 4 hours, sir. Absolutely, sir. And they all sort of pile into the elevator and disappear up.
And I don't ask for my flask back. They can keep it.
Right.
We can find another.
We have more on the ship.
All right.
I then would go directly to Hundkin's cell.
All right.
Oh, yeah, this is our last chance to do anything with him.
He's been pacing up and down. He sees you.
I open the cell.
You said you weren't going to open it.
Looks at the open bars.
And I say to him, your father called.
It is not difficult to read his body language. That he is the son who was trying to prove his worth and he got captured and now dad's called and that's why he's being let go. Again, it's just the shadow of his father all over it, and that just reads over his whole form as he just sags.
I then step into the cell itself and I say, he apprehended one of the Archons themselves.
What?
And he's trying to force us to bring you to him.
Since he cares about you rather a lot.
Apparently.
You all notice it because he can't stop himself. His tail wags
No.
and he immediately sort of tries to readjust. He's like, my father did this, but surely the Empire wouldn't have allowed him to do something like that, not just for me.
He's going rogue.
Why would he go rogue for you?
It's a cat.
I don't know.
Why?
I've never... I suppose he actually does care for me.
I gave the Jet Empire my word, you will never leave Order grounds.
Yes. Oh.
I'm sorry. And then I grab a dagger and I'm killing him.
What?
Yes. I saw that coming a mile away.
All right, is anyone going to try and stop Blaxton?
Well, that's
I think we're
unfortunate.
all
I
in
was
shock.
wandering down the corridor because I wasn't really interested in proceeding.
Yeah. It's father-son reunion.
Well, Jorik would have stopped him, but Jorik is too deep in moral deliberation.
I mean, you can try to stop me,
No,
absolutely.
he doesn't have the decision time.
All right.
Even if you
No.
wanted to, it's gonna be
That is what I was going to do for 3 sessions now.
yeah.
All right. So you plunge the dagger into his chest and he kind of clutches onto it. He looks up at you and he says, I do understand. But he really abducted an Archon for me?
And I nod and I say, my word is my bound. And I just like finish him off. Because I actually don't want him to suffer. That's not about him.
Right. All right. Well, he dies a cold, stony death in the prison cell, locked away in the darkness. But at least he knows.
Damn it, guy! Why did you have to make him so cute?
The tail waggling.
That's what they do. It's the great.
The cute grave. Interesting.
Sorry for him.
All right.
Interesting.
Poor little puppy.
Oh.
Jorek looks at Blaxton and he says, I understand what you did, but I don't agree.
And I stand up and I kind of basically wipe off the dagger and I say, I don't need you to agree. I just need you to know that I stand by my word.
I know.
There is
That's why I said I understand.
I need all 5 of you, please, to make perception checks.
All 5.
Oh,
20, not natural.
Yeah, I got a natural 1. Sucky.
Perception.
You're still hearing his blood spurt out of his corpse.
It's
22.
no.
I'm trying to keep my bacon down.
Blaxton didn't hear anything. All right, Con, you said you got 22.
Yeah.
All right, and
Oh,
Jorek,
wow.
you got a not natural 20. The two of you hear this dull thumping sound coming from one of the cells.
Well, since I was already wandering around
Right, it makes sense.
being curious anyway.
Well, that
I
curiosity might be tempered a little bit because, yes, there is a humanoid man standing in the one cell and he's frantically banging on this metal door, but the sound is so muted that it's difficult to hear him, but he's screaming out something. And Jorek, you recognize that he's actually shouting in Drakenmorian as he's seen the two of you.
Yeah, Jorg perks an ear at hearing the language and walks out into the corridor.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow.
Right.
The hell?
And he's just thumping, hoping to get your attention. You can see that he's looking at you through the food slot and banging and shouting.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I do. Calm down, Con.
Oh.
What is he saying?
He's just shouting, I'm not a vampire, is what he's shouting.
You know that's a really suspicious thing to say, right?
After being 500 years in prison.
That's all. He just keeps repeating that over and over and over and over again.
What's he saying?
He's saying he's not a vampire.
He's not a vampire?
No, you are a prisoner.
I don't know why.
Well,
By the way, I look.
Oh, it must be the one that the.
Is
No,
this
sorry, I don't
the
know about
guy
that.
who was sitting in the middle of the room earlier when Blaxton was down? I'm just asking as a player now.
Yeah, which one it is,
It's
right? Like
the
there was
one-
the shadow person, there was the human, the man, I think he was just
Correct.
referred to.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
the strange
The
man.
strange
But
man.
this one would be the vampire one that was locked away as a favor to
Correct.
the count.
To
Or
some,
whatever.
yeah, to some count.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
good
you
thing
can
Jorg
see
doesn't know that.
Yeah.
is there any kind of identification on the cell?
Just a
Name,
name. Just a name. And the name that is written there, Jorek, you will recognize this, even though you might not as a player. The name that's written there is Ulkov.
Okay.
Ulkov is, or was anyway, one of the Dark Dukes of Drakenmore, the original founder of the city known as Ulkov. And yes, was a particularly bloodthirsty duke, more so than anyone else because he enjoyed feeding on other vampires as much as he did enjoy feeding on his own populations. And so that wasn't a very good thing. So the dukes, according to legend anyway, kicked him into the sun, where he was for all time. They literally trapped him within a chamber and
It's a mighty kick.
Oh right, I was like,
brought sunlight into the chamber and literally burnt him to a crisp. Originally, there were 9 dukes. He was the 9th. He had, according to legend anyway, been destroyed. Ulkov's city has subsequently been taken over by a different duke who is more in line with the contemporary thinking of the 8 dukes, which is to build a viable, healthy population.
And not to eat each other. That usually makes
not to eat each other. Yes, that was one of the founding statements of that. The new.
That's their motto. Don't
Can I determine whether he is a vampire or not?
Well, apart from shining UV light in his face, the challenge is that they are behind quite heavy magical bonds and bounds. So you really are not seeing very much. If you go up onto the observation deck, you could look into the cell, but unless he turns into a bat, it's unlikely that
There's glass up there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's like a double-sided mirror kind of situation.
Correct.
Like one.
Yeah.
One-way mirror.
Con, wanna do an experiment?
Oh God.
What sort of experiment?
You can produce daylight, can you not?
Look, the Order wanted these people alive.
Just before you
I'm
go
not sure
further.
it's a worthwhile use of my...
Also, like mechanically speaking, that is not daylight. That doesn't work. Like that's not the kind of daylight that works.
All right, damn it. Because if he was a vampire, I would let him burn. All right,
Well,
sorry.
I think he's fine where he is.
Yeah, fine, let's leave him.
I lean back to the...
Because it's daylight, not sunlight, right?
The slot. Yeah. We don't really care.
Okay.
Con is in this I don't give a shit mood anymore.
Oh, absolutely. That whiskey that he's been knocking back since 8 a.m. this morning is clearly taking effect.
So it's basically we don't really care. It's like more like we don't really care.
One glass.
Oh, wait till I see what you did to
one
Hunker.
glass, right?
Just one glass.
All right. So, are you staying in the prison?
bucket.
You need to.
I want to sort of take a round and have a look at the other cells, but other
Mhm.
than that, I'm not gonna.
So while the others move around and such, I would stay with Hunskin and I would actually go to my backpack and pull out some implements, some religious implements and such, and actually kind of do the ceremonies. And
to commit his soul to Brax. Very good.
Right.
After a few moments, you might sense the pressure of Con leaning against the doorway of the prison, observing you.
I'm gonna go and see what the strange man, what his little sign says.
All right. It literally just says "strange man," and then underneath you can see there's a written note that's been stuck somehow to the wall, which says "Do not talk to him."
Wait a minute, the strange man's still here. Do you remember how old that thing was we found? This is the same person?
Apparently we shouldn't. I'm kind of tempted to talk to him now. It's like sticking a big "don't push" on a button.
I know!
Stupid move.
Although honestly, let's just not complicate things any further right now. We have really enough problems. As much as I want to, let's just get back to the ship.
Both of you here.
Follow me, surprise.
Overhearing this, Jorik goes, I'm proud of you, Adresai.
Thank you!
What does a Cathar and a Sajet have to do in this prison, I wonder?
Oh, he's talking.
Coming from the food slot.
What language is he speaking?
Common.
It's common.
What are you-
Just visiting. We're just tourists, actually.
She's talking.
We're pipe inspectors.
I was proud of you.
For a second, I was. Nope, we're not talking. Let's go.
No.
I know, but seriously, bigger problems right now.
I know.
Yes, you're going to need to get your cook back.
Okay, now that's freaking weird. How did he know that?
He's the GM.
I just grabbed
I
her.
can
Just
smell the
walk
burnt
away.
bacon on the cat.
Just walk away. Just nope.
You don't get bacon
No.
down here.
Nope. Shut up. We're not listening. No.
Just close the food
Too
slot.
much. Nope.
All right.
Not dealing with this.
Are you going to engage any of the other prisoners?
No. Jork is just waiting for Blaxton to be done.
I just kind of want to see a lich, but other than that, I'm just walking out.
All right. So you want to go to the observation deck where they can't directly talk to you? That's one level up. Then you.
No, it's too much work.
All right. Okay.
Just.
Blaxton, you wrap up your ceremonies. Are you leaving the body there?
I would just muffle under my breath and say sorry. Then I leave.
Oh.
All right. The
He
five
was
of
a
you.
good dog.
Who's a good boy?
He was a good boy.
All right.
Suddenly I see
Alright,
the
all
I
dogs
Am
go
Legend
to
scene
heaven.
in front of me here.
Right.
Stung as the dog.
That is
Don't
the
remind
whole
me.
movie. It was the only character I cared about. All right, so you get back to the Windswift then, unless you're stopping off to do anything else in the prison.
I would go to see the gnomes and how they're progressing.
Yeah.
I would want to leave
Wait
with
for them to be done.
Okay. All right. As you
I want
arrive,
to go back. I'm just heading back.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, I don't
Right.
fully trust them after what I heard, so...
Yeah, no, that's
So-
fine.
Adressai, they're heading back to the ship. Saket,
Is very upset about having to leave the strange man.
I'm sorry. I'm apologizing on the way up.
So she's
Sounds
like,
like she's been
before she
dragged.
goes, she pulls the note off the wall and manages to scribble, "We'll be back," and throws it in.
and throws in. Right. So that's what you're doing. Then are you going back to the Windswift, or are you going to go to the engine room with Blaxton?
No, I'll go up to the Windswift.
All right, you're going to the Windswift Con.
Yeah, I don't trust the gnomes either, so I want to see what they're up to.
All right. So the three of you arrive at that massive engine.
Actually, Jork's going to go to the Windswift.
No, okay. Jorik's going to the Windswift. Right. So the two of you arrive at the massive. It's like just this corridor of weaving captains in and out, in and out.
It's just like an old movie where it's like...
Out the door, right? Okay, so the two of you arrive at the engine room, and immediately Waffen comes up to you. Well, I've got good news and I've got bad news.
I'm accustomed to bad news right now.
All right. So the bad news is that these 6 gnomes, well, there's no doubt they certainly had some kind of influence with Section 13. The chit is quite clear on the fact this is a Section 13 sanctioned organized operation, but that's not the bad news. The bad news is that they appear to have been trying to modify this engine to double its capacity, which does not make a hell of a lot of sense given the fact that the prison facility does not need more power.
So what do you think this would be used for then? And think about they wanted to get in dragons here. Oh, does that make
Well,
sense?
that would probably do it. An engine of this size, if you expand its capacity, obviously you're expanding the size of the portal that is going to open through to the other side.
Right.
Now, I also happen to notice that they have discharges, which I suspect is why the volcano is so active. The engine is discharging a significant amount of its power directly
Into the ground.
into a vent that leads, I suspect, to the volcano. In other words, they're trying to drain it of its power as fast as they possibly can, which would cause a catastrophic collapse of the magical fields that contain the portal size, thus allowing the portal to be opened relatively easily.
I would like you to give Adosai a gift and actually write this down in paper, if possible.
Oh.
I hate to say it, sir, but you realize that will be violating several rules of the engineering
Yes, I know.
law within the order, as well as Section 13's orders, as well as the...
I know, but these are only meant for us and the eyes of only the necessary, for instance, Sector 13.
Jock and Stokes, you'll find rapidly that you'll have to make a choice between Section 13, the Order, and our Order. Will you write the notes or not?
Oh, it matters it.
And I would say the necessity of writing this down is to make sure to put this in front of the leader of Sector 13 and see if this is indeed sanctified by Sector 13 or if we have a Rex Drakkari situation here.
You mind if I take a moment to discuss this with Quallen? It's not
Feel
a
free.
decision I can make on my own.
Feel free.
He and Quallen go off into a corner and there's some fierce debating. It looks like there's some shouting going on. Then there's calming. Then there's discussions. Then they both come back. and look at the two of you. All right, we have decided that we will join your order.
Oh, we're not an order. I meant our orders that we issue.
But it's good to hear.
Thank you. Nice to know. We need to rely on our
treated
crew.
us relatively fairly, and you've respected our boundaries until your conscience wouldn't allow it any further. So we believe you might be making the right decision, although if it means shutting down all the engines, it does mean that I'm out of a job. And
I'm sure we can
You're a
find
capable person.
useful use. We will need an alternative source of fast propulsion eventually.
Well, there's plenty of younger gnomes out there who will be up to the task, I'm sure. All right, we will catalogue and identify the systems that have been put in place, but if you want it to be technically correct, it's going to take us about a day, sir.
What? To shut it
down all the modifications.
To write it down. Do you need to be here to write it all down, or can you make...
we want to make a proper diagrammatic sketch of the entire process. Otherwise, it's really just hot air. If we can't prove exactly how they're doing it, it's...
All right. So go forward with this. We'll speak to the rest of the captains to see if we have that amount of time.
All right, sir. All right. They do that. The three of you get back to the ship. You're greeted by Lieutenant Ty.
Sorry.
I need to inform you that Hurricane has banned anyone from going anywhere near the galley for the next 8 days.
No, that's probably for the best.
But he has made sandwiches for everybody, and those are in the captain's mess for you.
Oh,
I'm
Hurricane.
sorry.
Why did we ever leave you?
Because he did something really stupid.
That's true. That's true. That's right. He did,
Right now, the overwhelming thing is we need food.
All right.
Well,
So,
we can't blame him.
Lieutenant-
We are doing something incredibly stupid right now.
Right. Lieutenant, could you make sure to gather everybody in the crew in the hold, perhaps, in about half an hour? We need to address everyone.
very good. I'll do that.
And I look over to the helm. Is
Knaxa is
Knaxa-
standing there with all of his bandages, and you see.
I walk up to him and say, "Go take a rest. I'll take the helm for a bit."
Right, sir. He says as he stumbles.
No! No! No, 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 no,
You didn't want to Windswift, did you?
Don't touch the flappers.
No.
So I got good news and I got bad news. We don't have to abandon the Windswift because I crashed into a volcano.
Con's,
I'm the only one who
the
knows.
hairs on the back of Con's neck.
Yes,
start
Con
tingling.
looks up.
The Windswift's in danger.
All right. So, Siket, I'm assuming you're going off to go and find sandwiches. Adversai, what are you doing?
I don't know. I think they're just going to go gather themselves, start writing things down. They've actually been working on, because I grabbed the linguist feat, and I've been working on this code, and I'm going to start writing things down in this code.
All right. Okay. So, specific code just for Adversai.
Yes, I mean, I'm going to include everyone else in it when we have 5 minutes, but when I have time to teach everyone how to read it and write in it. But
All right.
for now, I'm just going to start chronicling these things.
Right. Not a problem. Okay. Blaxton and Con, what are you guys doing?
Back to the ship once I'm satisfied the gnomes are doing
Right.
Their duty.
Yeah.
what they need to do.
Which I'm fairly happy right now, at least.
All right. You guys get back to the ship. Jarek, would you please
Don't.
So, do you want a sailor check?
Yes, please.
Oh boy.
Don't let me down now, dice. Oh, that's not bad. That's 17, right?
All right.
We're
Yes.
proficient in it, right?
Yes, you are. So
That's
that's not a
Are
problem.
you though?
That was another time.
All right. So yes, absolutely. You get back onto the ship. Not a problem whatsoever. And yeah, what are you doing?
Well, I guess by that stage we'd probably find the crew assembled in the
Yes.
Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, Lieutenant Ty, as you approach, says, "We're all ready for all of you captains in the hold, sir."
Right. So who wants?
So we don't wait for the gnomes. Well, fine.
No, they're going to take a very long time, you said.
Yeah, it's
So.
going to take like a day. So
Yeah.
Do we want to wait the entire day? I mean, I know you want to wait the entire day, but
We can't leave them there. We're going to
no, that's not what I meant. I mean, do we want them to carry out the orders as is, or are we wanting to leave now?
no, I think we can wait
Yeah.
for them to finish.
finish, and then
All
we've
right.
still got a day
It's a
to get
very
out
good
of
call,
here.
Blaxton. Thank
All
you.
right.
All right. Okay.
Right. So who wants to do the?
So I imagine everybody's sitting there with a sandwich right now, just like
Yes, including Androsai.
Right.
Who
Enjoy.
wants to do the talking?
I will prepare something for the speech, I guess.
Oh dear.
But I'm not sure that I would be the best person to hold it.
I think it should be
Maybe.
Con. It's
I knew you were going to say that.
And I just put my hand on Con's shoulder and say, like, if you want support, I can give it to you, although my positions are not usually...
All right, Con should do it.
All right. So what I will actually do, and I assume this would be visible to any crew person and knowledgeable about what it is, I would cast Zone of Truth on the place where we would speak, so they know we speak the truth.
Right. Everyone sort of looks as you cast this around. Everyone's sort of nervous, and everyone is eating sandwiches.
Nom 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 nom. It's like nervous eating.
Yeah, it's nervous eating, but it's also grateful eating because it actually tastes like a sandwich and not something that died on a piece of bread.
So if you need any help explaining the technicalities of portals or whatever, I can step in, but I think you've got this, Con.
All right.
Sure. Yes.
All eyes
Imagine.
are on Con. Jorik, are you still flying the Windswift?
Well, someone has to, so yes.
Right. There's no part.
Just like, you don't fly anymore. No,
No autopilot.
Meaning.
I guess I could anchor it, but nah,
Yeah.
I'm flying it.
All right.
just be
And actually, there's no reason for us to be flying around right now.
No,
but there's still the
being
winds
covered in-
and the volcano and
Yeah.
stuff. So,
I'll stay at the helm.
All right.
and I would stand next to Con just to enforce his kind of authority.
Oh, I'll open up the speaking tube for up to the helm so that Jorik can
Can sort of
hear what's
yeah.
going
Very
on.
thoughtful of you.
Well, I know.
And as you hear it open, you just duck immediately, like instantly.
sort of instant
Out of habit.
acid.
Right, we're good.
Con takes another swig of whiskey.
Dear ladies and gentlemen,
You guys.
Everything is fucked.
I like. There's this thing, and it's really bad.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So what do you say to them? All eyes of Windswift are upon you.
Well,
and again, you actually need to speak the truth right now.
well, yeah.
Just a reminder, but yeah.
There's very little point in trying to.
No, absolutely. I just made it to kind of actually show the crew too that we're telling the truth and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is Con speaking. There's
Oh,
very little point in me trying to soften this. So I'll be direct. I'm sure you know me by now well enough to know, as your doctor, I've always been straight with you.
They all watch you.
We've been living a lie. All of us. Everyone in the Order, and by extension the world. And the simple fact of it is that the technology that enables these ships to fly and other of the Order's marvels to function is built from ancient technology that we don't perhaps fully appreciate or understand. And that technology has been combined with some sort of portal technology to enable us to tap into the realm where we dispatched the dragons to all those centuries ago.
Lieutenant
Yes.
Tyre steps forward. So I'm not sure this is appropriate conversations to be having.
Lieutenant Ty, I appreciate the spirit of your intentions. As your captain, I order you to sit down and be quiet.
She sits down and is quiet.
Thank you. The engines are tapping into directly via the use of banned portal technology the realms of the dragons. They are using this portal connection to draw the energy that they provide.
While he says this, I kind of know what he's talking about, so my focus is on the crew and to see the temperature, kind of to gauge the temperature of the room kind of situation.
And I mean this quite directly. There is a portal in our engine right now. The 5 of us have seen it. If you need to see it to believe this as well, that can be arranged. However, the most pressing issue for us now is how we go forward from here and what each of you intends to do about it.
We should tell them about the engine in the prison, about what almost happened
Mm-hmm.
if we hadn't been here.
There is another engine in the prison below us. I'm sure what's happened in the prison over the last day or two has not escaped your attention. Forces in league with the Rex Drakkari, which we have only recently fought against to prevent a overthrow of the Order and a return of the dragons, as was the stated aim of the Rex Drakkari. Forces allied to the Rex Drakkari managed to install infiltrators into the engineering section of this prison, where they proceeded to turn the engine into a full-blown portal that would have brought the dragons back into our world. By sheer dumb luck, we arrived with our prisoners and have managed to head that calamity off. Just. And I do mean just. We saw dragons through the portal. They were coming. We were this close to a return of the dragons because of Order technology, because of these engines. I've given you a lot to think about, so I suggest you start thinking. I sort of step back.
Mios puts his hand up.
Yes, Mios?
What should we be thinking about?
Well,
Oh, don't tempt me.
if I may, we, of course, our conscience or our wariness about realization about what this could mean and what almost happened, we disagree with what the Order is doing. We think that the Order is going against the very first edict, and we want to change it.
Now,
We want to somehow...
to be clear, we will not abandon the idea of the Order. We just need to restructure and see where the problem actually lies.
The Order is sick.
Never mind.
We think that the Order is sick. We think it has rested on this for too long, and it doesn't see how wrong it is. And we believe that it needs fixing.
And the reason why we tell you this is because we trust you. Because you are our brothers and sisters in arms. And we believe that the secrecy, or I believe that the secrecy and the division within the Order in this regard has been making us sick, making the Order sick. And as our doctor told us, that it is a great danger. So what you should be thinking about is where you stand, what you would do. And if you agree or disagree in the end, I guess. But if you have any open questions, and at this point I would look at Lieutenant Tai, who was told to shut up. And if you have any questions, we're here, standing in front of you to tell you the truth to the extent that we know of.
Lieutenant Tai stands up and looks very coldly at the five of you. And we'll return again next week when it continues, because our time is up and we must stop. Thank you all for joining us and for being part of this journey. If you don't stay for the review, thank you again, and goodbye. We'll see you next week. For those of you that do stay for the review, let's go straight into it. I do love how you guys managed to wrap things up on the 2 hour.
Yes, that was on our mind.
No orchestration on my behalf. Right, so Con, you're up first. I really have nothing to say about this episode because I wasn't really involved other than doing some lift work. But
the signs of a great GM, though.
Yeah, right, absolutely. What are your thoughts on this particular episode?
Interesting for Con particularly, because things are fracturing for him a bit more than just this for me, because like there's this gulf starting to possibly form between his moral compass and Blaxton's, and whilst the big picture plots were allied, the little details about who gets to live and die, we seem to be doing this, or who gets to live and die and why. But that will play itself out in its own way, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed Con. Was, I had my sort of role play angle for him was that, you'd have to convince him that any of it was worthwhile and we shouldn't just walk away from the whole shit show, as it were, and leave them to fuck it up. Right. And Adrasai certainly was very forceful again in shutting that down before it went really anyway, so that I quite enjoyed that. And
so do we really? Now we need to. Okay.
This is important.
They said that, like, if you want to dump and go live in the forest, I'm not going to blame you. Like, go, but
have a few nice.
We're going to go.
It was a good scene, but yeah, we managed to achieve quite a bit, I think.
Right, absolutely.
Our 2 hours in terms of pivoting towards the new reality, as it were.
Right, yeah. Absolutely. Adrasai?
Yeah, no, I agree. As we were going, I was a little concerned that, like, is this going to be fun to watch? This is the third time we're going back into the prison to do more stuff, and we're just kind of repeating the circle over and over again because we keep thinking of more things that we didn't do before we ran back to the Windswift last time. But we're really doing like really important things, and we got to really finish up when we got to tie up the loose ends. And like Jono said, that it was much more eventful when it comes to the pivoting part of it, and when it comes to like what was actually going on with the story, like on a macro scale,
right? Even
if the micro scale was a bit repetitive.
Well, on the micro scale, there have been some very poignant moments in this episode, haven't there? There have been lots of sort of connections and disconnections, I suppose, that have been made. Blaxton, your choice to kill Huntkin or execute him, I suppose. I'm not sure exactly where on the compass it falls, as Con was saying. That's sort of becoming a bit of a grey area, I suppose. I don't know.
Certainly was not good.
No. What are your thoughts on this episode? I mean, the only rolls that were made were perception checks to see if you could hear about,
the elves or not. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, we need to, due to the kind of the outlook on the entire adventure that changed so much, I think it was necessary to kind of talk this much, because it is so important to have everybody on the same page and not just like assume things. And it's so important for everybody to understand the mindset probably of the characters more than the players. So where we are, where we're going with this, and it's obviously also important for you to kind of have an idea where we're going and not to just surprise you. Now we're going that way, like...
Going to the North Pole.
Right.
So I think it's just necessary if this revelations kind of happen, and I've seen it in my games quite a bit as well. I think it's great to do it if it doesn't happen too frequently, because it just slows the game to a halt until the new directions are kind of found.
Right.
As a player,
there's a new direction.
Yes, I think it is. I mean. As I was already talking in character about, like, full disclosure, we actually, since there's changed so much and we wanted to kind of keep it a little bit more short, we actually kind of exchanged some information before we started the session, so we can keep this within one session and not need to kind of extend on it very much. I hope everybody got what every character is coming from, and we didn't forget because we talked about it before, but usually we don't do this. This was just because there was so much to talk about.
Yeah, we didn't want to sit here and talk for 3 sessions.
No.
Exactly. So, as a player, I mean, I like these kinds of sessions because they are so much more revealing for personal kind of personalities and traits and character than just like last session when we just like murdered our way through like people, which is fun, but it's not necessarily like
it's not a lot of character development.
Exactly, it's XP development, I guess, but
yeah.
So that's right. And why Blaxton did what he did, well, again, like, lawful good is like always a problem, and that's the reasons why I like these edge case kind of well, not really chaotic evil, because that's just bullshit, but these edge case alignments so much is that you always have like a fighting in between those two kind of axes. You want to be lawful or you want to be good. You want to be lawful or you want to be like, it's a little bit more interesting that way. That's why I like to play it. And some people talked about it like, is he really lawful good? That wouldn't be a lawful good person to be in. He is not necessarily lawful good. I don't think you should be always all the way at one point, because that just is problematic. And I thought about this way in the past, and I think it is very important for Blaxton to keep his words when he's not just like small talking, but just generally the words you give should be binding. And I mean, there's an oath he took, so
right. No, absolutely.
So that's why. And then when it kind of, that's why 2 sessions ago, I think it was, when he said like, and you need to bring him. I said like, but no, I talked them and I told them that I wouldn't do this. Or when I had met Saket, and they're just like, invite her in and we kill her there. And I was like, no, like that would be a lie to her. Like, it's ridiculous, right? So these kinds of things were hinted at before. And when I heard that the Order would want to kind of free him for this, I was like, not if they ask me if I have anything to say about it, right? And
right. It's an interesting territory. Now, Saket, talking of potentially button pushing, you didn't have a huge amount of things going on in this episode, particularly.
No.
Except for the one prisoner that you seem to connect with.
Yeah. Well, she likes a bit of mystery.
Sorry about that.
And yeah. Well, definitely the strange man is he just a Hannibal Lecter type character, or does he actually know stuff? Interesting. But I mean, on another level, like, Saket has a lot going on anyway mentally, so she's probably going to be in a funny headspace and probably not doing very much. And I feel like her character development is suddenly going to have to speed up. I had like a longer timeline in my head, but your story is pushing that character development faster, so that's going to be interesting. So yeah, it's kind of like trying to work out how to weave everything into the what's going on as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting episode. I felt like we were running around a lot.
Right.
And possibly that would happen in a panic sort of, you know, like that's quite an overwhelming amount of information for anyone in the Order to have to deal with. And I suspect we're going to have to deal with Lieutenant Ty in the next episode, who doesn't seem to have reacted well.
Right.
Could just be that her face just looks like that.
It could be. She may have, you know, bitch resting face. It could be, that could be her problem. We don't know.
Right. And then Jorik, just quickly, your thoughts on the episode?
I agree a lot with what Simon said about this thing. I like these episodes because there's a lot of character development, and you really need to think about where your character is coming from, what they want to do, and why they're doing things. So I like these two. They're important. As far as the whole lawful good and alignments and stuff, there's another GM that I follow on YouTube that usually states that don't swing for the fences. You have to be natural about your alignment. You can't just always be lawful good. You have to be human, even if you're not human, but a natural character. You don't always act one way or another because you change as a character. And that's important.
Right. Absolutely.
Moody.
Yeah, moody. Absolutely. Good day, bad day, right?
As far as Jorik as a character this episode, well, we did get some background on him, where he comes from, why he is like he is, which was interesting. I'm slowly coming to terms with the fact that we're going to have a very Jorik-focused episode soon because of this asshole down in the rig.
I don't know. You refuse to talk to him, so he can't give you any information.
There's so much other things to do. I'm sorry. But I am getting to him. I was debating whether I should go down there or go to the map room.
Right.
It didn't feel right, and it didn't feel like Jorik would really do it. So I am getting there. I just need to sort all this other crap out in the way first.
Soon, yes. Mark my words, he'll still be saying that in 6 months' time. All right, anyway, thank you very much for staying with us. We appreciate it. Hit that like button if you want to show your appreciation for the show and the players. Of course, I hope you do. And subscribe and show us that you really do care. Until next time, we wish you and yours the happiest of playing. Goodbye.